Hello everyone, this is Anthony with liveintheend.com, and I want to thank you for joining us. Hey, so I want to share something with you. I want you to see something that will show you that you don't have to be in a positive mood all the time, like The Secret tells you, or like Law of Attraction tells you. You don't have to be like that to manifest anything. And it is going to show you also that you are manifesting all the time. So I'm not going to give a bunch of detail on what happened, but you'll get the gist of it. So I had a fear of something happening on my job, and fortunately, there was nobody got hurt, no damage, no nothing, but it could have been really bad. And I had this fear for a long time. It was always in the back of my mind. And just the other day, it happened. And now I want to show you a couple of things. One was that what I feared, what we fear, we see, or we play out in our minds. All right? And then if you do it enough and you have enough emotion to it, it is going to manifest. You don't have to have a high frequency or this or that and stuff to make things manifest. And this I'm just going to tell it for what it is. This crap about, money is at this frequency and love is at this frequency and stuff, that's a bunch of bull hockey. The car that you want is at this frequency and stuff. They're using frequency and science to I don't know, bolster up the idea of attracting something. You're not attracting anything, because everything, the moment you think of something, it's yours. It's yours. You just have to claim it. And there's a number of ways to claim it. Okay? Let's say you think of something bad like I did. And as easy as it is for me to manifest stuff that I want, it is just as easy for me to manifest stuff that I don't want. If I continue to put my awareness there. Because remember, we manifest who we are, or we get who we are, not what we want. We get who we are being. We don't get what we want. And so I was being afraid of this thing happening. And it did. Not of my own fault, but it did. Now, coming up to that point, some things had happened when we were getting ready, and my intuition was screaming at me. And I didn't pay any attention to it. As a matter of fact, I had it in my head that it's nothing. This thing that led up to the event. And so it just goes to show you that once that's embedded, once that's impressed, once you are that person, it's going to manifest unless you counter it. And I didn't counter it. So, and then the same happens on the other side. Now, let me give you a couple things to glean from this. One is I continue to go about my life, didn't necessarily worry about it all the time. Okay? It was just something that I had put enough emotion into at one point about it happening, and then thinking about it and what could happen if that thing happened, that I had that state, and I would move in and out of that state, just like we do anything else. If you're married to somebody and you're in a committed, loving relationship, you're not going to be all gleeful and all jumping up and down and rose petals at your feet all the time. That's not going to happen. He's going to wake up in the morning and he's going to be farting all over the place, and she's going to look like she just went through a blender. But you guys are still in love. You guys are still in a committed relationship. You guys are still having fun together. But the thing that I'm trying to show you here is that you're not going to be all gleeful all the time. You're going to go about and live your life. You're going to go about and sit at that desk and type away for 8 hours of the day. You're going to go over there and work at the cashier register for 8 hours of the day. You're going to drive that fire truck, or better yet, sit in the fire station for most of the time. And the thoughts of your significant other are going to pop in your head from time to time. And they could pop in your head for any number of reasons. Good, bad, or indifferent, and mostly indifferent. That's just how life is. That's how this is. All right? So for those of you that are going out there and you're pushing to get to that frequency, that special frequency on that chart where it's got love way at the top, stop that nonsense. There's no frequency out there for that. There's a state. And that state is not just this gleeful love all the time. Sure, when a dog loves you unconditionally, and when you leave and then you come back home, it's like you left for a year. They love you unconditionally. And in those moments, when you have just walked in the door in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, they're all over you. They've lost their mind. It's like they've lost all control of their bodies. They're going all over the place. But later on in the evening, when you're sitting down on the couch, they could be laying next to you. They could be laying on the floor. You're home now. They're fine. They're indifferent to what you're doing. And that's how we are as well. We're not always gleeful and jumping up and down and just so excited to see that person. That's just not the case. Now, I was always happy going back home. It was comfortable, but I loved going back home. But it's not like the first time when I was going down to her house to go and meet her for the first time. To go out on a date. It wasn't like that. So folks, you're manifesting all day long. You're moving in and out of states all day long. And those states, who you're being, who you identify as or with, is what you are now experiencing in your 3D world. Okay? And so you need to understand and get a grasp of, if you want to be in a loving, committed relationship with somebody, or if you want to own this house, or if you want to have this job, then you need to be that person that owns that house, that has that job, that has that house, that's in that committed relationship. That's what you need to do. That's who you need to be. It's not about feeling good. And don't make the mistake that so many people make and think that that person or that thing or that job is going to make you happy. Because if that's what you're thinking, if that's what you're trying to get out of it, you'll never get it. And if you do get it, it's going to sadly and horrifically let you down. Every single time. You be the unconditional love. You be the committed person. And then once you are that, that's when your 3D reflects that back to you in the actions of the people, places, things, and circumstance of your life around you. That's when all of a sudden the floodgates open and your bank account just starts growing. Of course, there's action there. But you have been led to those events that creates the action to make that happen. That's how this all works, folks. You have to be first. I'm going to tell you again. You heard this in another one. Just if you're on the private Facebook group, you've heard this. Okay? I was a manager for a restaurant chain. And actually an assistant manager. And I wanted to be a manager. And I had a district manager, I never forget his name, Dana McClure. And he asked me what I wanted to get out of this job. And I told him I wanted to be a manager. And he said, before you have the name tag as a manager, before you're promoted to be a manager, you must first be a manager. In other words, I had to start doing the things that a manager did before I became a manager. That's what this is all about. You have to be first before you get. That's what this is all about. So folks, don't get caught up in all the little minutia that's out there. Okay? Don't ask somebody else, what did you do? That's the biggest mistake you could make. Instead, find out through yourself who you would need to be in that relationship, have that job, drive that car, have that house, or have that money. And then be that person. Once you are being that person, it will start to show up in your 3D world. Folks, thanks for listening, and remember, you've got this.